Hello, all. So, today we'll be talking about bounded actions and we'll understand what is a bounded action with respect to Business Central APIs and how should we use it in Business Central APIs. So, if you would like to know about bounded action, stay focused on this particular video and I'll try to cover everything that I know about bounded actions. So, till now, just a quick recap what we have done. We understood what are APIs, we understood how they are in Business Central or Dynamics Nav, how you can authenticate them if you are on-prem or if you are on SaaS. What is the difference between OAuth and basic authentication? We have understood how to call GET commands, how to apply filters on our GET commands, order by, dollar expand, uh, top, and other queries. And if you haven't watched the whole series, I would highly encourage go back and see everything that we have done. And then we went into post, where we tried to post, and then we also did deep insert in the previous video, where we included lines and other sub items of a particular document that we would like to include. Now, why bounded action and why we are talking about it? Before we get into this, just a friendly reminder to everybody that anything that I'm showing right now is all based on Microsoft APIs, standard Microsoft APIs. But don't worry, I'm getting some emails and queries about custom APIs and all. We'll cover that once we understand everything that's available in the API space. We'll surely in future in the same series, we'll create custom APIs and utilize all that knowledge that we gathered by understanding how Microsoft APIs work, the standard APIs, and apply that knowledge into a custom API. So if you are someone that is looking for that, please wait for a while. I just want to finish everything that's there and then we'll get into it. Lot of talking. Let's get back to work. Okay. So before we get into it, let me open the source code of the API from Microsoft extension. So we looked on different APIs. Let's pick sales quotes today and let's go up. So what do you notice? It's a page of type API, which you have seen, which have a repeater where there are multiple fields and it can have subparts, as we saw, that it have a sales order lines in this case as a part. It might have dimensions and other things. Let's come down. Yeah, these are the parts which we use during the expand. Once you come down out of the layout part, which is one major part of any page, then there is an action part. And if you look at it in this, the actions are empty. So there are no actions per se. If you're trying to relate bounded action with the action, it is not an action. If you come down, then there are different triggers. And then after the trigger, typically what you do is you create methods or functions or procedures, whatever you want to call them. So in these kind of procedures, in these API pages, you will also notice that there are some special kind of procedures which are these. A service enable procedure with a scope on cloud. That means this function will run on-prem and cloud. Anything that is scoped on-prem will only run on-prem. And I don't think there are any API actions. These are called like API actions which are bounded, which have a scope of on-prem. So what it is, it says procedure, make invoice, and then there is a specific syntax of what parameters it needs. And then in there's a typical code. To get the code, then do something. And then interestingly, it tries to run something and then do something. And then at the end, it sets an action response. So what this method is doing is creating an invoice from a code that you have selected based on the get code from the sales header. And then it is converting it to invoice. In the same way, there is another method which name suggests as make order, and it allows you to convert a code to order. And this is not just on the sales code page. Okay, if you just start searching for service enabled on the API app that you have on your product DVD, you will notice that there are so many service enabled methods which are called bounded actions, and we'll come to it in a while, available in different API entities, like on sales invoices, like on purchase invoices, sales orders, and other areas, which takes your API call to a next level. Now, why they are called bounded action? Because they are bounded to a page or to a specific record of that page. I cannot say on a bounded action that post all my invoices. It is bound to the record that you are pointing to. So, what you typically do, you do a get, you find a record. A record is uniquely identified based on the primary key, which is defined here, called, and it is not here, yeah, OData key field ID. So the ID acts as the primary key. So you get the sales code ID, and then what you want to do, maybe you want to convert it to an order or convert it to an invoice, and that's where your bounded actions come into picture, which will be bounded to the record that is currently selected. So why we are discussing it in the post? Why didn't we discuss in the get? Because it is not a get uh, kind of action. It's an action of type post, where you are performing an action on the record that you have selected. So you'll get the record, you'll get the ID of the record on which you want to perform the action, and then using that ID, you will create a post URL, and in the end, you will mention the action that you would like to execute, which will make it happen to kind of execute this. So we'll see that. So if you look at it, there are so many of them. You have on sales order, you have on sales code, invoices, credit memo, purchase order, and so on and so forth. You can see the list. Now let's get back to the actual question that we asked in the previous video also. Yeah, Saurav, you're showing me inside the source code, but why, how my external party knows about it? And here, I have tried my best and I've maybe failed, and maybe there is no other way. I can be correct sometime. Maybe there's no other way. So if you know the answer, let me know into the comment section about it. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the where is that? Okay, let's take this. I'll just take this as it is, and let's get back to our favorite friend called $metadata. What does the metadata do? The metadata shows me the schema of or the field definition of each API that is available on from Microsoft at this point, which is this. So it gives me the metadata of all the API entity. Now that sounds very cool, but what I'm struggling with is, can I get a metadata of a particular API? Let's say for the customer API. Because to my external party, I don't want to share the whole metadata with them for all the available API. I would only like to give them the metadata of the API that they need to interact. If they are interacting with the sales order, then I would like to give them the sales order API metadata. So if you know how to achieve this, I've tried all combination here and I'm sure I failed completely. So if you know how to do it, just let me know, figure it out, and let me know into the comment section. But coming back to the topic. So what we saw on our sales code, we have a method called make invoice. Now there should be some reference of it in the metadata of my API. Okay. So, and this is a little bit confusing why Microsoft does this in metadata. But look at it. This bounded actions are not attached to the entity or the API that it is related to. And it is displaying all of these actions, bounded actions, at the end of it. The other reason, I guess, they are called bounded is because is bounded is set to true in the metadata. So now if you look at it, it tells you that there is an action named cancel and send, and it is binded to the sales invoice. There's a cancel and send which is bounded to the sales credit memo, and so on and so forth. So all your bounded actions that you have in the APIs will be available in the dollar metadata. You just need to know it. Now, why I'm asking that, I'm looking for something where I can just filter out for one particular API entity, let's say sales credit memo, because that'll give me a concise list of what my expand parameters will be for this, what my bounded actions will be for this. So if you know how to do it, just let me know. I'll help everyone who is watching this series. I'll surely mention that into the next video if I know it. Okay, coming back. So these are the bounded action. So let's try doing this. Let me go to my business central and see, do I have a sales code, because we'll kind of follow a whole cycle of it. So if I go into it in here, there's nothing. Okay, so let's create a sales code first. So how I do the sales code? I just need to know my endpoint, and I'll take the liberty right now to utilizing the source code. But my API endpoint is called sales codes. So let's try to do the. I'll have to do companies first. That we do all the time. And then from companies, I'll copy the company ID. Okay. And the commands remain same. I think you know at this point. For on-prem or SaaS, it's just based on what your beginning endpoints are. And if you are targeting SaaS, go back to the initial videos and you'll find it. Okay, so let's look at the sales code. I surely have nothing at this moment, which is nice, but I don't know the scheme of it. Either I can go to the metadata, I spend time, which I don't want to do. So what I'll quickly do is I'll go back and create one manually, just for the sake of it. Okay. Okay, let me pick one. Let me pick this one. Okay. And let me pick an item. Okay. And let me do quantity one. I don't need location code for the demo. And then let me make it non-taxable. Okay, that's created 1002. I should be able to see it here. Okay, I get it. Why I want it? Because I would like to get this, because I would like to now convert it to a post command. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll copy this. Just a reminder for everybody. I also will have to do an expand on the get, so that I get the lines schema also. Okay, how we do that? Question mark. Is it question mark dollar? No, it's dollar question mark dollar. Oh, sorry, dollar question mark. No, expand is equal to. Let's look in the child. The child here is called sales quote lines. Okay, so let's go back and try to expand the lines. Hopefully it works. Does it? No, it does not. So maybe I made some mistake. Oh, it was dollar question mark. Sorry, my bad. I was saying dollar and I was typing hash. Okay, here we have the header and the lines. So I know that the whole schema of it. So let me copy this whole schema here, hopefully till here, and convert this to a post. We have talked about it. Once you do the post, you need to define the body, and you choose raw, and here you choose JSON. That's the format that API supports. And now I'll just go ahead and remove whatever we don't need. Okay. API code is my external document number. Let's keep everything as it is. I don't need customer name. That should come by on validate. I don't need these. I also don't need this. Okay, let's keep it pretty simple. Okay, that should be autofilled because I did not fill any of this manually also, if you remember. Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. So on my header, I'm just specifying my external document number, document date, and then the posting date. And then in my lines, I surely don't need this. And here, I will need line number 0. I don't think so. It should get it. Okay. So let me remove this. Okay, description will come automatically, unit of measure will come automatically, quantity I'll need, and then here I did fill in the tax code, so I'll keep that as it is, and that's it. Okay, it might bring the location with the value, so I'll manually go ahead and change it. So before we run this, let me delete this so that we can see that it got created, and it will just it. This will help us to recap how you post a record. Okay, and if you want, let's create a copy of it and add one more line into it. Okay, 1920s is an item, it seems. Let me see. I typically don't remember things. So let's pick the item 1001 if you want. 1001, and let's make the quantity 2. So at this point, it should create a sales code at this point. Let's do a send. It says 201 created. We should be able to see the response here also with the number 1003. If I go back to my business central, I should be able to see a code. If I refresh this, 1003 is created, right? I'll just go ahead and remove the location because that location have advanced warehousing set. So I'll just remove this to keep it blank. The quantity 1 and 2 have came as it is as we pass there. Now, what if I would like to call the bound action to convert this to an order? So to do that, now we know what is the ID of this record, which is this. So I can just verify that by changing this to get and saying I would like to get the sales code. This. Let's do a send. So now I'll get the sales code. All looks good. Now here, what I have to do to make or convert this to an order is switch this to post. I don't need the expand parameter, but just for the viewing. And now here, I need to call the post. Now here is the key when you need to remember this. Let's go back to the metadata if I have it open somewhere. I think I don't. So I'll just take the liberty of going back to the source code. So I have to convert this code to an order. Then I'll have to call the make order. But I think I should go back and explain you in the metadata because that'll clarify some of the doubts. Okay, this is code lines. Sorry, code. Okay, companies, and this is metadata. Okay, remember this because that's very interesting and a little bit confusing at times. So what we are looking for is the metadata for make order. And I don't know the reason. So if you are asking me the reason, I think we'll get it from Microsoft someday. Remember, when you have to call a bounded action, you need to copy the first two words here, which is Microsoft.nav. And it is common for everybody. And I hope tomorrow it gets converted to Microsoft.bc. So these are the prefix to call a bounded action on your document or on your API call. So what I'm going to do is going to call Microsoft.nav dot at the end of this sales code, and then I need to mention the uh, the bounded action that I would like to call, which is make order. So it's Microsoft.nav dot make order. With this syntax, I'll be able to get my bounded actions to be called. This in the metadata tells you which entity it is related to. Like these two are related to sales code or three, and this is related to sales order, and this is related to trade memos. But to call a bounded action, you need to prefix that action name with Microsoft.nav dot and then the bounded action name. So if everything goes good, this should get converted to an order with 1003, which is here, right? and the external document number is API code, if you remember this. So let's hit send with the post here, and I should not have anything on the body because it will confuse this. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm just trying to pass the post, and at the end the parameter is microsoft.nav dot the bounded action name. Let's hit send. It says no content, that means nothing has been written but the successfully processed. But let's go back here and try to refresh this page. Okay, so if I go back to my sales quote, I see nothing. Now I have to go to my sales order and search in the external document number. I did something and I forgot what I did, but API code, yes, 1016 is the order which is created for it, called 1016. Now let's assume I would like to ship and invoice this order which was just converted from the code, and my external document number is still API code. So what I'll have to do, I'll have to get this record from my API. So here what I'm saying, instead of sales code, first do a get of my sales order. Okay, this will give me all the sales order, and then if I search for 1016, which is my number, okay, I see that it is API code and everything looks good. So I can just see what it looks like by getting the ID and then putting that here. If you want, you can do a dollar question mark, expand sales order lines. Okay, something wrong. Maybe my expand is failed. So let me remove this. Well, let me try that. Sometimes gets confused. Why should I leaving things? Maybe the name is incorrect. So let me go back here and see what is that. Sales order lines. And I guess the case is important here. So let me go back and we'll try. Is my assumption correct or not? Okay. Yes, it did got it. But what happens? And let's check the case sensitivity. Otherwise, people will shout at me later. Yes, the case is important. For everything that's written should be as in the same case. Okay. So here we get the order this time, and with two lines as we created. So now we have the order. Now let's go back to our order entity and see what we can do with the sales order. So you can ship an invoice. Okay, let's do that. This time I'm not going back to metadata. I think we know what we need to do, which is come here at the end, and after the sales order is found, we need to do the microsoft.nav dot the bounded action name, and this should do a ship an invoice of the order 1016, which is this. So let's copy this so that we remember this, and we'll look it into the posted sales invoice and shipment once it gets posted. Let's do a send, and it tells us was not found. There's nothing found on the ship and invoice. Okay, that's weird, but let's look for that. It's on the sales order. Okay, so I think I type it in the right format. Let me try that again. Sometimes the syntax can go a little bit wrong for me, so let me paste this in. Looks good. I'm picking a sales order. No HTTP request was found on the nav ship and invoice. Okay, let's try again. Nothing. Okay, let me do a get again and just remove this part. Got this, send this. Let me see, because I'm just thinking right now. In my business central, do I have quantity set for ship and invoice? Because that can be something which can be alarming. Quantity to ship is there, quantity to invoice is there, so everything looks good. What happens if I do a preview post? it does post. Okay, so in that case, if it is posting there, it should also post here with my keyword of Microsoft.nav.ship and invoice. What is the problem? Let me look at the metadata. Sales order, binding parameter is this, and the ship and invoice is this. Okay, Microsoft.nav.ship and invoice is the right sequence if I'm not doing anything wrong. Am I? I don't know. But let me change this to post and try again. Oh, I don't know what I was doing wrong. But the operation is successful and 1016 is our number. So I'll have to go back and refresh this screen. Can I see 1016 now? Okay, let's look at it. 1016 is gone. Okay, now let's go to the posted sales shipment and look for document that have the order number as 1016. Okay, let me look from the number series top. Okay, 1016. What are the lines when it got shipped? The two lines with quantity 1 and 2. And in the same way, you can go back and check the posted sales invoices and look for order number 1016. This also have the same line. So before we move ahead, let me take a pause and change my screen. So let's quickly summarize what we have learned today. Okay, so bounded actions. Bounded actions are part of Business Central APIs, and this is what they do. Bounded action allows you to execute actions on the report that you have in Business Central. To check the bounded actions, what bounded actions are available, refer to the metadata section. Examples of posting a sales order to an invoice and other that you can find into the metadata. It only works with the post HTTP request. Bounded actions are always prefixed with Microsoft.nav. And then the bounded action name. And this is an example how they are created. So hope you learned something today and that was interesting what you learned. And if you like the content, do hit the like button. If you have questions, do add them into the comment section. If you know the answer of the questions that I have asked during this video, let me know the answers of those into the comment section so that we can share it with other people. And if you think this video will help your colleagues or other Business Central community members, please do share this video and subscribe to the channel. There is a lot that's coming, at least about the API and other things that I'm thinking about right now in this channel. And thank you for all your support that you have showed your love with your comments and your emails and queries. Thank you, and I'll get back to you sooner than later.